Hey everybody, we are already at episode 18 and this is wild. So we're now talking about separating as a Jehovah's Witness, which is very, very difficult because you have this entire brainwashed mindset of you can only divorce if there was sexual immorality and you didn't forgive that person. And there's a couple of reasons the Jehovah's Witnesses give for a separation, like as if your life is in danger or your spiritual life is in danger. And really, honestly, those reasons are unscriptural. We are supposed to go by what the Bible says, and it says specifically in the Bible, do not go beyond the things that are written. And yet it does not lay out those very things in the Bible. Jesus didn't talk about that. He actually said, let them separate and then remain single if it isn't according to like fornication or adultery and those things. He really just said that basically you can't remarry. That's what the Bible says. So I'm really going through it in my mind, like I remember talking to my friend, the single mom that I had been really good friends with, and I was going around in circles, and I gotta give her a lot of credit that I was always able to talk to her freely. There's a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses that won't touch certain subjects because her brother is the brother who had the whole beard ordeal, and you were able to talk about it with her and reason with her, and I could quote unquote negatively talk about the things that I didn't agree with, and she wouldn't freak out and be like, what are you, an apostate? She would never do that. We were both people who really tried to take the truth really seriously. We wanted to do what makes Jehovah happy. I did not want to do anything wrong. However, I was now in this pickle of my husband is on Tinder, he's on Grindr, he's going to sex clubs, and he's doing porn. And to me, I am gotta get out of this relationship. Like, I gotta get out. So I meet with the brothers, and they want to talk with me about whether I'm free or not, and about Troy's conduct right in there. And so it was difficult, but this meeting shocked me. First of all, I was going through hell. I'm so riddled with anxiety. I'm having existential crisis because I don't even have a job. I don't really know how to separate. I need to get away from this man. It's horrible. In all seriousness, the brothers had no compassion for me as a human being, or really my kids. I did not feel like there was empathy that I'm going through this insane madness. There was no empathy on that level. On the other hand, it's not like they're therapists or trained professionals. They're everyday men that are plumbers and a lot of times window washers, not to be cliche, but they're just these regular guys who didn't study marriage counseling, who really don't know what to say a lot of times. So I don't think the situation is even natural that I, as a sister who's going through emotional turmoil, have to look for emotional guidance from these guys who don't know how to really give it. And so I'm saying all the stuff that Troy's been up to. And on top of that, in this time that has passed, Troy has gone on hookups on Grindr, has been to the sex club. I have emails of him meeting people at the sex club. I found condoms in the back of his car, and those condoms were definitely not for me. He's using them. There's one missing. There's a toothbrush. He's coming home early in the morning. He's drunk. I have him on our Ring doorbell, coming home at all what hours. You can see he's drunk. I have text messages. I'm feeling and this is so stupid. if you're in the world, aka you're not a Jehovah's Witness, you would just go and not even think about this. You would be like, this man is a cheater and I'm out of here. But if you're a Jehovah's Witness, in order to be like pronounced free to remarry and have like grounds for divorce, like the victim, if he doesn't come clean and admit to it, you have to prove it that you're free to remarry is what they call it, which is really insane. I obviously have like all the proof in the world. I mean, I had like pages upon pages. I'm shaking showing it to them. And that's like another thing, like you have to become like this detective to show that you're free to remarry. And like looking back, there's so many people who had to like go and wait outside of their ex's house with like a witness in tow and like, oh, look, there's a girl coming overnight. And I also said to them, it's like kind of goofy because he could have a girl or a guy. And plus it takes 10 minutes to hook up with someone. It could be like on his lunch at work. You know, it's not even just, this whole rule is so goofy because someone could literally spend the whole night in your house and you do nothing, but he could go at lunch and meet someone for 5 minutes in a Starbucks bathroom, hook up and be done. How can you prove that sex was, it's just, this whole thing is so absurd. But I'm giving them like everything. I'm shaking. It's really like hellish to talk to these guys who were kind of robotic. They were just sitting there and I don't think they even really knew what to say. And they say to me, yeah, you have all this stuff, and we called Bethel about it, but they don't see it as evidence anymore. You are not free to remarry. And I'm just like, what? This is so stupid. Like, what? And they're like, yeah, because everything can be fake nowadays, so they don't take all this digital stuff as evidence anymore. And I said to them, but I know I'm free before Jehovah. I know I'm free. I know he's not coming home. I know he's meeting people. Like, I know that I am free. That's all that should matter. It doesn't say anything else in the Bible. And they're like, well, you need a witness. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure like all this digital stuff is the witness. Like, and my mom is living in the house with us. She's seeing him come home at 7. We see the GPS move for him to go to a hookup. She sees all this stuff too. I'm like, she's my witness. And they're like, we can't accept all this digital stuff, Bethel said. But what you can do is maybe you can ask him if he was sexually active and cheated on you in front of one of your kids so that you have another witness. Because Troy wasn't really like hanging around my mom much, so they knew that wasn't going to fly. But in front of the kids makes so much sense. And I'm sitting there with my jaw dropped. I'm like, I would never do that to my kids. Why would I ask him that? Why would I traumatize them? It shouldn't even matter. Like, can you even believe how brainwashed and crazy, like the crazy things Jehovah's Witnesses say? Because they have like lost ability to use their brain at this point. I'm just sitting there baffled. I'm baffled. And I'm just like, that is the craziest thing I've ever said. The kids did know that he was cheating because I didn't say anything to them, but because he was disappearing and he was like happy when he was leaving the house, they said to me at one point, Mom, I think he's having an affair. And I didn't say no or anything because that was a reality, and I feel like to some degree, it was happening. It was real. So he would like go out almost every single night and he would like go to the ice machine, put ice in his tumbler, and then we would hear the garage up. And even like that noise of the ice maker and the garage going up, we have like PTSD because it was horrifying. Plus he was drinking so much and like drinking and driving that I was really worried that he would be so drunk and bring someone into the home. Who knows? Is he going to have a hookup come to our house? I just really wanted to get out of there, but we couldn't sell the house. Like, it wasn't selling. And I really started like to barricade my door because I was afraid. So I had like all the kids sleep in one room with me, barricade the door because I just didn't know what he was up to or what he was capable of. I even said to him one time in a text message I still have, I'm afraid that you're going to hurt me when you get so angry and that you will kill me. And he said, oh, whatever, I wouldn't even let you have the power to send me to jail. Such a weird thing. I'm like, that is so weird. But, well, thank you. I'm very grateful that you're not going to kill me. To this day, there's this little thing in the back of my mind where I'm still afraid because his reputation and how he looks is so important to him. He doesn't, for example, want anyone to know about the Grindr stuff ever. And I would always say, like, why are you putting this all out online? Why are you putting your picture on Grindr and all this? If your reputation is so important to you, why are you not worried about that somebody is seeing you there, you know? So it's really him putting his business out there first. When you're posting online with your picture, Lord, there was even one picture that he used for a profile where he cropped his face out. And in the original picture, me and the kids are in it too. It's just so weird to see that, Lord. Wow, it was just pure trauma. So I left the elders meeting kind of shook, and I'm like, that was so weird. They're literally not viewing me as free, but look where we just came from. Like, he just got disfellowshipped for all this stuff. He just got disfellowshipped for hooking up time after time with dudes and couples and whatnot. And here we are again, and you're actually acting as if you're like doubting me. It's such victim blaming in this organization. It just leaves you shocked. And they weren't like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry for what you're going through. Like, this is really tragic. And it was just crazy. So at one point, it was really weird. Because you know how I always said, and this is kind of contributes to the fact that I just feel like I don't know this man at all. I don't know him. I don't get him. It's so confusing. We're going to meetings together up until some point, because we're trying to navigate like through this whole split. And he says to me, look, I will never stop going to meetings, which is such cognitive dissonance to me at that moment too, because he has a girlfriend he's texting at the meeting. He's hooking up on Grindr, and yet you're not going to stop going to meetings. And I'm like, okay. And I think it was about Memorial time. And he said to the kids he's going to a different memorial. And I don't think he went to any memorial. But I don't know that, but I'm pretty sure he didn't. And then after that, he actually never went to another meeting again, which is so confusing. You just told me I will never stop going to the meeting, and then you completely stop and never go. But I don't think that he's like out all the way mentally. I don't know if he figured out he just can't live the life of a Jehovah's Witness, or he just he does not want to get disfellowshipped again. And I understand that. I don't want him to lose his relationships with his family and stuff. I think that's wrong. His family is his family. Your family should love you. You know, that's his relationship. But I don't know what is in his head. So he just never went to another meeting again. And on some level, I'm like, well, that makes sense because you're definitely not living as a Jehovah's Witness, you know, so you shouldn't really be going to meetings. I don't know. But I'm still a Jehovah's Witness. I'm in. And I'm in turmoil because I'm trying to do like the right thing as a Jehovah's Witness. But at the same time, I know that I'm going to separate from this man, and they're not really going to like it. So we still have to live in the house together. And I file. So I get a lawyer and I file, which is a big step. But I'm just like torn as a Jehovah's Witness. What am I supposed to do? And I have kids and stuff. And I felt like the Christian thing to do and to just take it easy is to separate. And that's all the brainwashing too, because definitely you should run but it's brainwashing, and maybe it's a little trauma bonding too, because maybe you just think like, well, maybe this is going to scare him to straighten up. I don't know, but I'm separating for many reasons. And I call the lawyer and I tell her everything, and God bless that woman. She says to me, so he's dating someone. And I'm like, yes, he is. He's having a girlfriend right now. And the lawyer says, listen to me. Do not separate. File for divorce right now. Because he's busy. He is in a relationship. He wants to be free to be with this woman. He wants to date her freely. File for divorce right now because it's going to fly by. It's going to be easy right now because he's going to agree to everything because he just wants to be free right now to date this girl. She was brilliant because it was really true. We agreed on everything. He was just wanting to get this over. I do think on some level, I don't think he really think I was going to go through with this either. Because I came back so many times, I came back. So I think he was kind of thinking I was bluffing. And he was busy dating, and I was seeing all this stuff at the same time of who he really was, like contemplating sleeping with someone with an STD and stuff. And I'm like, I cannot go back. It's just mommy mode. Be strong for the kids. You got to get through this. You got to build yourself up emotionally. And you just got to toughen up. I'm also financially completely worried. And one day I'm at school picking up the kids, and all of us parents would stand outside and wait for them and talk a little bit before the kids came out. And there was one lady, she was so sweet to me always. And I couldn't help it just because it was such a stressful situation. I started telling her a little bit and about that he's doing all this awful stuff. And I start crying, and I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to do this, even financially. I don't even know how I'm going to do this. And she says to me, isn't your church going to help you? And I just looked at her and I'm like, no. And I'm thinking they would never help me, financially, never. And she says, our church helps single mothers, and our church helps women get out of abusive relationships. One of the churches even donated together to give this mom a car for her and her kids that got out of an abusive relationship. I mean, can you imagine the governing body or the organization ever doing that to help an abused wife get out of a situation with her kids to safety? They would never. And the congregation, they would never either. And I just looked at her wow, no, my church would not do that. And I'm just this is so weird. All these little things that stick in your mind, And I get to the Kingdom Hall, and a lot of times I'm driving, and I'm already feeling I'm going through a divorce now. I'm crying. I'm a wreck. And I get to the meeting, and I'm going through divorce. It's like a death, It's like the person that you thought you loved never even existed at all. It was all a sham. It was all a big lie. And instead of being really loving, this one sister says to me, you should really put on a happy face when you get to the meeting. And I'm just in shock. Someone would say that to someone. I'm like, what? And it just hurt, but it also contributed that every time you did go to a meeting and you didn't feel right, that you started just getting even more anxiety to go. Because you can't fake being happy when you're going through a horrible time in your life, And it stuck with me. And then I gotta say, the elders, even though I can't say they really helped a ton through this, it was a difficult situation to navigate through. And I talked to them too, and this is another situation unique only to Jehovah's Witnesses. We're having a hard time selling the house. There's no way that we can separate out of the house. The bills are too high unless we sell it. So we're actively trying to sell it. We have showings, and that contributed to the stress because you're trying to get everyone out. Troy's room that I had left was a mess. he would drink so much, it smelled bad. It was just like drinking stench. And some days when we had a showing, I would have to try to get him out of bed and wake him up. Like, we're separated, we're going through a divorce, and here you are still doing all that. It's so crazy. But it was a reality, and it was part of the journey. So we'd showing after showing, stressful with kids and, this drinking, soon-to-be ex-husband and everything, stress. But also, the divorce date approached before we sold the house, which is a tricky situation as a Jehovah's Witness, because you're not really supposed to be alone with a man you're not married to. This is so culty. Like, who even cares, right? Well, they do care. And they were all like worried about me, because I feel like the Jehovah's Witnesses' number one priority is that people don't have sex unless they're married. They are like sharks about that. It's not even that they're worried about people child abusing kids. No. It's even worse when two people have sex. That is just like the worst thing to them. They're spying on you and all this. And so I had to like talk to the brothers that there's no way out. I can't go anywhere. I have kids. I can't move anywhere. I just started working, but our divorce wasn't finalized yet. And so once it was, I'm still going to have to live there till the house sells. And they were worried about me being in the house with him. And I'm like, look, this is how it is. But my mom lives with me, and they were like, well, but kudos to them. I'm sure in a different congregation with different elders, it could have been much worse. Like, I could have gotten a lot of hell for that. And really, what are you supposed to do? This is how it was. So there was one sister, kudos to her. She was so cool and nice and supportive. And she was like a fighter. She was like, yes, you have to leave him. Of course, leave him. He's a horrible person. I don't care what they say. You gotta go. Like, she was my rock. And I'm still so grateful for this feisty girl who stood up for what was right, because she was like, bottom line is you don't stay with someone, and I think you're free. Like, she had such a sense of righteousness. And I appreciate her. She went with me to the divorce, and we went to eat. She made the whole day smoother. Like, she was so awesome. We'll call her Jeannie, because she was my little genie in a bottle. No, just kidding. She's just really cool. And she was just always there. She was so sweet. So after the divorce in court, this was so crazy. It was almost like, okay, Troy, I'm divorcing you. See you tonight at home, because we still had to live together. And no, I did not say that to him. That's me joking about that, because yeah, freaking awkward. We had to literally still live together, divorced. And I think he was kind of shell-shocked at this point that this really happened, that we really got divorced. And I have talked about the parents being so private and everything. They didn't tell anyone back home that we got divorced. Family members did not know for years. One thing that I feel like is that when people are extremely private and label, how I had in a previous episode mentioned that I just would say oh, so-and-so got engaged. And the mom would say, we don't gossip in this family. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just information, it's just normal, a thing that happened, and you talk about it. They didn't, it kind of makes you crazy, because you start really being worried. Can I even speak about this or that? What do you even talk about? Everything is basically gossip. The label gossip is just a way to control people. I hate it. But I think that when people are so extremely private and want to really censor what you say, it's because there is deep secrets. And obviously there were. It's so that they can hinder you from talking, get you in this mindset about we don't talk about anything because of deep, deep secrets. And really, isn't that why the organization labels things as apostate or gossip? Is because they're trying to control that not everybody finds out the truth about the truth. I really think so. I mean, I'm a person who wants to talk openly and free. And I encourage my kids to be open and free. I don't want them to bottle up and hold things inside. Let's talk about it. It's so much healthier. So, well, that's it for today. Tomorrow we continue the journey of divorce and being free and, moving out. Bye.